plastic forts and plastic fort building kits. And it's garrisoned by various people. This is a front view of the Mignot figures we saw a couple of pictures ago. Here's a close-up of the fort. I'm currently in the process of completing its garrison. These figures are among its garrison, and are the Britain's made a set of these, and I've been trying to gather various different poses to add to that Camerons marching in khaki. And I will, when I get the fort set up properly, these will be the figures that go with it. I do like scenery. I recently acquired this Salé port, I'm not sure who made this exactly. It may be another JCB effort, but it has a mixture of plastic American Civil War Union troops, some by Britain, some by others. Another love of mine is the 11th Hussars at the Halt, done in picture pack, but over here are the ones that came in a special set with mounted and dismounted figures in the same set, which was done in the 1920s. Another example of early plastic figures. These are malleable moldings. Not sure exactly when they came out. My best guess at the moment is about 1953 again. So maybe they're made of a different sort of plastic. Acetate figures. Don't think there were very many made because you don't find them very often. This is Princess Elizabeth before she became Queen. And a lot of these were made in metal as well, part of the Ericsson story. This is the figure that Bill Hocker made for me. He tells me it's the only truly limited edition that he has ever done. And this is Harry Phillips. It was done on the 25th, to celebrate 25 years of Phillips toy soldier sales. And this is a picture, a figure of Harry Phillips, the founder of the company, who of course started out selling toy soldiers. There he is in all his glory on his podium. And the podium swivels, so you can't get Hocker to make a figure without it working. There's some more rocking horses. These are the Britain's second grade fixed arm rocking horse, which they made quite a range of, and I think they're just as lovely as the moving arms ones. This is another favorite. This is a present from my first wife, of a Poitier Smith special Britain's figure, fife and drum band of the Royal Welsh Fusiliers, and one of the few Britain specials that I still have. Obviously, because it means quite a lot to me. Whoops. Anyway, gone on what it's on. This is Britain's first ever set. In its first version, in its original box. You can see that there's no rearing horse officer. The figures are all exactly the same. The officer just has a gold sash on him, and a very, very plain box. They hadn't got into any decoration to the box at all. Now they did do a number of sort of printers type boxes subsequently, but at this time I imagine that all the early boxes that came out in 1893 had boxes of this type, because they were absolutely rushing to fulfill the order that Gamagers had given them to mark the opening of their toy department, which happened in 1893 also. This is my second best item in my collection. The souvenir of the visit to London of His Imperial Highness the Emperor of Germany. That's Kaiser Bill, in his new command as Honorary Colonel of the 1st Royal Dragoons, which happened in 1894, and makes this the first Britain's souvenir item ever produced, and quite possibly the origin of the rearing horse figure that became the officer of the lifeguards, and many other sets. There he is on the other side. This is my Britain's family group. 2 Hocker figures. That's William Britton Senior, William Britton Junior, with the 1897 box that was made for Queen Victoria, who they're lining up and showing her what they've got. And this is the figure. This is the centenary figure of Dennis Britton, which was made from a photograph taken at the 100th anniversary dinner at the Guards Museum. This is the Beaufighter, which was made. This is a prototype. It would have had little celluloid discs on a pin, and this is the plane that Dennis Britton flew as a night fighter in the Second World War. This is quite a small scale. It's like a dinky or a Tootsie Toy plane in size. That's the other side of it. That's my 3rd rarest item. And then we come to Queen Mary's Doll's House. This is the book. The Doll's House is having its 100th centenary. Its centenary year this year. It was presented to Queen Mary in 1924 at the British Empire exhibition. And this is the book that was, it got to number 3 in the bestseller, in the non-fiction bestseller list when it came out, and contains pictures of the interior of the doll's house. And here is the picture of the toy soldiers that were made by Britons, sitting on the nursery table inside the doll's house, which is now on view at Windsor Castle again for its centenary. And here is the box that which when they made these boxes, just going back to the real thing for the moment, there were hundreds of iconic British companies who were invited to make things to go inside the doll's house. And essentially, you didn't just make one of these things, because who knows, something might happen to them before they got to the presentation. So Britons, among others, I imagine, made more than one. Dennis Britton swore blind that he actually did it. He actually made the figures for this himself as an apprentice, as he was at that time, in the Britton's factory. But when we get to this, what you've got is the second one, which I am very happy to say is in my possession, because it's quite an odd story. The son of the daughter of Frederick Britton, who was the sales manager at the time, was given this once the first box had been safely presented to the Queen. And this is the spare box, the one that Prince Harry would have had, maybe, because he always calls himself the spare. And it's tiny, but it is the only item that I know of that is not made at the right scale for the doll's house. The doll's house is 1/12 of real life, as doll's houses usually are. So this is an example of doll's house furniture at the right scale, and it as you can see, they're rather, they should be half the size of this. This one hasn't quite got down there, but you can see the attempt is being made to make them even smaller. This is a close-up of the figures. I think the idea was that if they had been the right size, which would have been about only that large, they would have been so unimpressive that they wouldn't have been worth making, according to Britons at least. So if we go back, one of the interesting things about this, I've taken it came in this box, there was a meeting. I had a meeting with 4 of the richest toy soldier collectors in the world prior to this sale, and I was telling them, why don't you guys have a go at this? I don't mind if one of you decides between you. I didn't actually tell them this, but you can imagine that they might have got together and said, well, I wouldn't mind having that. And the other ones would have graciously stood aside during the bidding. But in fact, they were so afraid that they would actually compete for it that none of them started bidding on the occasion, and it was unsold. So after the sale, I stepped in, having given it a fairly high estimate, and said, I would like to buy that at the estimate, which I did. And that was how I acquired it. And somehow I seem to have frightened off all those 4 top people who I could not have afforded to bid against. And that way I managed to get hold of this, which is the best piece, obviously, in my collection. One other quite interesting thing is, if we look at this, you can see that the one in Windsor Castle has 2 officers to its guard, to its Scots Guards line, whereas mine has no officers. Obviously, the correct method of making 2 sets of this would have been to have had 1 officer in each box. And I've been tempted to send a letter to Buckingham Palace and say, look, I haven't got any officers in my set, and you've got an incorrect 2 officers in your set, because Britons never put 2 officers with a row of troops. They always use 1, and something's gone wrong with these two boxes. Could I have one of your officers, and I will give you one of my men to make the box authentic? And then I thought, hang on a minute. If I ask them to do that and we actually try doing it, we'll have to cut the string. And so it will no longer be a mint-in box set. Oh dear. I think the story is good enough to leave things as they are. And that, gentlemen, is the conclusion of my presentation. I hope I didn't take, good Lord, I must have taken an hour and a quarter.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Opie. I think you have opened our group's eyes to what is actually out there versus what we think is out there. And we have heard some amazing stories from you on origins, on places where items were produced, and on what I call backstories of numerous items, including the piece that you showed us at the end from the dollhouse. So we thank you so much for taking the time, because I know it's 5 hours later there than it is here, and providing us with the ability to share your knowledge and expertise with us, and allowing us to get into a place in the collecting world that many of us would never have gone to. So thank you very much.